Hey, there's Dan making the comment. 1 month, the internet went out at 8:30 a.m. on the dot every Wednesday. Yeah, these guys, you see them in their trucks in your neighborhood, and flip a coin whether or not you're going to have the internet for the evening. It's and it you realize, and in my case, it's like all my TV, all that, everything comes over the Cox high speed. Scott hasn't joined. I've sent him the link several times, and so I was speculating. If you check the thread over here where Dan and I were corresponding, I was speculating he might be having problems. I'll just make a comment, and if Scott doesn't show up, this will just be a quick little comment about gesture. I see people, doing things that they're fairly often getting big hits on, talking about gesture. And it's, to me, it's not much of a mystery. You just have to look at it as what it is, what gesture derives from is how you treat the building block of how you draw an invented figure. And one thing that I'll have to have something much bolder to get this over. One thing we used to do in the life drawing classes that were based on the Riley method was the starfish thing. See, this would indicate kind of like the direction of the trunk, and then for your passing consideration, you'd have an inverted thing like that. And that thing is easy to manipulate as an armature into whatever. Let's do it like this. And if this doesn't remind you of how these architects tend to treat the human figure in their little things, the human figure is, of course, the important for the ergonomics of what they're going to be showing clients and stuff like that. So they have to plop them in, but they aren't there to draw great looking figures. But a guy that has gone to the trouble of making a big deal study of anatomy is going to look at something like this as a really well placed bit of armature for what he can build with his knowledges of what goes on top of this little armature. But with his starting being this nice little thing he can do that looks like it's got energy, or in the case of something like it might be Spider-Man-y. And you don't have to start with anything. The main thing you got to know is that think of it as an armature that is noodly, that has got some sort of energy to it. Like if I did a leg that had that basically is like the armature of having some twisty wire. Don't think about at this point whether or not your figure's anatomy is anywhere. Now let's see what I can do with this anatomy here that I've got here. Now that I have my armature, I start to fill in what I would consider, the obvious masses. And this guy is brought forward a little bit with his foreshortening. And this could become a much bigger hand, as it got closer to the camera. And this is the one that Spider-Man's swinging on. And, that became, oh, look at here. Look who's showing up. I was just gonna. I was about to ready to sign off after my gesture and gesture lecture. Let me get him in here. There he is. Here we go.
Waiting long?
There you go. Now you're added, Scott.
Have you
Hey,
been waiting
Dan.
long? Yeah. Have you been waiting long?
Oh yeah, about 30 minutes or more.
You're kidding. When did you send me the link? I just now got the email.
You just now got the email. Well, Dan and I were speculating about you having a an outage or something. No, I've sent you
No.
four different
Oh my
emails.
gosh. I got two of them just now. I don't know what
Okay,
the deal is. Sorry about that. It's
that's
been
all right.
so it has been a crazy day. It's been a crazy week. We were supposed to be in Florida this week. Hang on.
Yes.
Let me mute that. We were supposed to be in Florida this week, but my dog got sick, and we didn't know what was wrong with her. And so last week, about Wednesday, we decided not to go to Florida because our vet had exhausted all of their possibilities, and so she had been ultrasounded, she had been X-rayed, she was throwing up.
Uh huh.
So they said it was something in her. They thought she had an infection. The antibiotics didn't seem to work. So she went to the vet. So we decided not to go to Florida. We were going to drive to
Mm,
Florida. Decided not to
that's
go to
it.
Florida because I mean we had to take care of the dog. So
Mm-hmm.
luckily we hadn't spent a lot of money. It cost us a little bit, maybe a couple $100. But I went ahead and took off work because I have to take time before the end of the year, and I'm not sure I'll be able to if I didn't take it this week. And I mean, I have plenty of vacation, so it's not that big a deal. And I've actually worked a little bit from the house, probably about an hour a day, if not a little bit longer.
You mean
So
worked at your regular work from the house?
yes, I
Okay.
answered email is what I
Uh,
did because I told somebody this and I don't think they believed me, but I get about 150 emails a day at work, and I mean
mm-hmm.
it's I mean I checked my email at lunchtime today and answered a few, and I checked it later and like a couple hours later, and I got 44 emails. It's like, oh my god! In fact, while I'm gone, one of the guys is kind of covering for me. He's been on my emails, and I was talking to him Friday, and he goes, well, "I'm about to think about this. We're going to do something different." I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, Since I'm getting your emails, my emails have exploded." I go, "Yeah, I get about 150 a day." you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, "You're not even getting all of those. You're getting about a third of them, but it is a lot." Anyway, so I've been reading emails. So I have been working. Well, I've been here drawing. I haven't done a lot because um because the dog has been at the vet 2 days this week. She went Monday and she was there. Well, Friday I did go to work, but I had to come home because the dog was getting a haircut, and which we schedule the dog's haircuts months in advance. It's impossible to get a change. In fact, we missed one, and she couldn't get another one. We just had to go. She does it every other month, so we just went instead of going a month and a half or whatever. We went, or instead of going 2 months, we went 4 months or whatever. But anyway, so so she was there Friday, so I came straight home, and then I went and got her about 1 o'clock, and then her and I just kind of hung out at the house. I think I may have went and did some errands, but then, I was off. I was on vacation, so I went. So Monday she went in. Well, Michelle took her in, and I was going to pick her up as soon as they were done. They were going to look at her to see and possibly she needed to get scoped like they do with a
Mm-hmm.
person when they stick a camera down their throat.
Mm.
Well, the problem was when they got her in there was food in her stomach, and they said we can't see. So
Yeah.
they didn't do it Monday, but I mean Michelle went and got her, but I was basically at home waiting for them to call me. And I drew and I read. I got a lot of reading done. I drew a lot. Um, I so then yes or Tuesday She was here with me, and I ran some errands, but I didn't leave the house much. Same, Drew. And then Wednesday, she had her ultrasound, and so I did not, or not ultrasound, her scope. And so I didn't leave because I thought she'd be home, early or whatever. Well, then come to find out, we went and picked her up and we didn't get home till 7 yesterday with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then today, we had talked about going and looking at a car. Ended up buying a car, as
Yeah,
you as
Mazda.
you alluded to. Yeah, I got a Mazda 3 turbo hatchback. It's pretty happening. But I got home and I checked the tire pressure. You can do the app. You can check the tire pressure, and I saw one
Mm-hmm.
of the tire pressures was low, which immediately annoyed me because we had ran over something on the way home, and I thought, did I puncture a tire the day one I had the
Oh,
car?
yeah. Well,
I don't. I don't.
wouldn't that just follow you as a force to be reckoned with that something would go wrong on the first day
Well,
you'd own something, you know?
Well, so my previous car, or the car before the last car, the first day I drove it, the tire pressure light came on, and
Oh
the
boy.
the guy. So I called and I told them, hey, the tire light's on. They said, well, it's cold today. They probably just need
Yeah.
air,
Yeah,
which
that sounds
they
like somebody.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that old line about yeah, you're not a customer, you're a owner. I forget what the line is. It's like you instantly metamorphosize once they've got the
from somebody that got wooed to somebody they've caught.
yeah, right, exactly. It's like, I'm
So
sorry, you're no longer a
yeah, well, so so we go down there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, right?
mhm.
Because I had emailed them that I wanted to drive this car, and so the girl called me and I talked to her for a little bit, and I said, well, I can come down tomorrow at 10. I said, well, I don't know how early we'll be there. Norman, from my house is like a hike. I mean, it's 45 minutes, and
Mhm.
so we drove down there. And we get down there and we're
By
doing,
the
and
way,
they,
Dan is present here. Do you want to hear some of what he's saying? He's saying congratulations on the new car.
oh, thank
That's
you.
great. And he asked me a couple of things too, but go ahead on. I'll cue him up in the threads eventually once you're
Okay.
done telling the story.
So we go down there. Now this is 10 o'clock in the morning. We get down there,
Hmm.
we drive the car, and which I had driven it, and I really like it. And I told Michelle, and I told the lady, I go, look, here's the two things. I said, I got it. I haven't driven this car. I want to drive it and see if I like it. And then second is I want to trade in my car, and it depends on how much you want to give me for my car. So, I said if
Hmm.
we can work a deal, I said, but really that because she was talking about interest, and I said, look, I'm gonna get good interest. I'm gonna, um, so, so,
Have you got a
so
credit union with your work or anything like that? Seems like they would have something like that.
I reached out to the people that I would get a car loan from, and I got a significantly better rate from Mazda.
Okay.
So I don't remember what it was. It was like 2.9, I think. And the best that my bank would do, where I have in cash more than enough to buy this car in my savings account, more than
Hmm.
enough to buy the car. And the best they would give me is 6.9. So 6.99. They're like, we might as well say 7. But I'd reach out
Yeah.
to them anyway. So I had looked up Blue Book value on my car, and they gave me a fair price. I felt like
Hmm.
I had a few weeks ago I had opened the garage door into my car and I gouged the bumper, and it needed tires, and I knew that my car lot had told me that. So the deal was good. Well, then they go, well, I said, well, we don't have our title. Can I bring it by? And they said, you got to have the title to do the deal. So they said, well, you can go get it. Or I said, if you go get it, we'll hold the car. And I said, okay. And we went through multiple rounds of which car we were going to get. We drove one car because the other two they were doing things to them. And there was a question about whether it came with a navigation system. And then she told me, no, it doesn't. You have to buy this. It's $400. I go, well, I'm not doing that. Anyway, it did come with a navigation system. They just didn't install. It was a thing that they don't install till somebody buys it for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But but I mean, she said, well, a lot of people don't care because everybody use their phone. And I said, well, maybe, I don't know.
Huh.
So the good thing about this car, as opposed, I got a 2024. The 2023s, which I've been looking at, did not have wireless connectivity to your phone. In other words, they don't have like the Apple. You can't do the navigation system wirelessly. This one you can, so that's cool. We
I was
drove the car.
seeing that Mazda is discontinuing a few things very shortly. That
Oh,
when
really?
I was trying to figure out what car you
Oh,
had,
yeah, what car it was? Yeah, because I sent you the
uh-huh.
picture.
Hmm.
Yeah, I looked at it. I went down there wanting to look at a black one, but they had that red one in the showroom, and I go, man, this car is beautiful.
I'll show everybody your picture by sharing the picture.
Oh yeah, you should share the. I don't have the. I'm recording on my phone. I thought about doing this from my
Sorry.
garage, but I don't want to be in the garage for an hour.
As usual, I have to figure out everything.
But
Present.
the yeah, it was funny. Watch it. Did you watch the video where the girl talked about the car?
No, I didn't. I
Okay,
wasn't
that's
sure.
fine.
Yeah.
Well, so yesterday she said she went out and took like a little video, walked around the car, and told me about the car, which I had watched. I've At this point I've watched hours of YouTube videos about the car. Um, and so I've got the book and I'm trying to figure
There it
everything
is. I'm
out.
sharing it. I'm sharing it.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That picture doesn't do it justice. The red is like a candy apple red. I mean, it's a beautiful car.
Looks pretty. Like I say, it looks like
Um,
it's moving already.
yeah, it's very nice. I it you know it has my old car, my Subaru is a stick shift, and I honestly have gotten tired of driving I've driven a stick shift since I was
Yeah.
19. And I drive across town, and and what's funny is when they test drove it, the guy was telling me, because I drove a VW, and the clutch was so stiff. I mean, when I got done, Ellis, I could hardly walk. It was so stiff. I go,
Yeah.
good grief. Well,
You
then the
never.
guy,
Yeah. Those little repetitive movements. They used to call it. What are they? You get
it was like carpal
whatever,
tunnel.
whatever
Well,
tendon is
what the guy
involved in
told
that.
me, he thought the clutch of my Subaru was stiff, and I go, oh, it feels light compared to, now it is stiffer than other cars I've driven, but
Mhm.
I've always driven a manual, or at least for a long time. But I got hurt. I hurt my back a couple of years ago, and as a result of that, like the toes on my left foot are numb. They're always kind of a little bit numb. And man, sometimes if I get stuck in traffic, that clutch operation is a killer.
That can be a killer situation. I've had that before, where all of a sudden I'll get an attack of I'll have been doing some
Like
sort of exercise or something and get a
you get a
cramp
cramp.
that attacks your foot. It's like, what the hell am I going to do? This thing is killing me, and I still have to use it to stay alive.
Well,
you know.
so I'll tell you a story. When I hurt myself, Michelle and I was working from home, and it was a Friday, and we would go walking in the mornings, and and we were walking. I go, man, my hip is really hurting. And
Hmm.
so I came home and I worked for a little bit, and then I clocked out. It was a Friday, clocked out early, and I laid on the couch. I was like, oh, and I had some pants that I had to go take to the tailor to get hemmed up. Believe it or not, like some dress pants
Uh-huh.
that I had bought, and so I went to do that. And when I was getting dressed again, I tried them on. She pinned them up. I was getting dressed again. I was standing on my right foot. And I lifted my left leg, and somehow that motion all of a sudden just shot pain down my leg.
Hmm.
And I just fell. There was a chair there. I just fell into the chair, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I sat there for a minute. Finally, I struggled. I was wearing shorts because during the summer. I struggled, got my shorts on, and then I went out there and I told the lady, I go, "I'm sorry, I've hurt my back." I said, "I'm not sure what's going on," and I kind of leaned on the counter and we finished the deal to get her my pants, and she said, "You can sit here if you want." I thought, if I sit there, I'll never get up, and so I
Yeah.
went and got in the car, and I had no strength in my foot to push down the clutch. It took all
Oh
my
man.
effort. and I put it in third gear and I drove it all the way home. And I mean, it hurt so bad I was crying. I mean, I was like, I was praying, dear God, please get me home.
Get me
Luckily, it was
home.
only about a mile from the house, but it about killed me. I was some of the worst pain I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
And
that sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean,
so,
that
well,
nerves that
so,
runs. Yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, I ended up in the ER that day. It was
Mm,
bad. I mean, I'm a lot better, but my toes are still, my left foot still kind of bother me. And sometimes when I get stuck in traffic driving, I'll get home and I'll be like, man, my foot's killing me, or it's mostly my toes. But something happened, and I had no strength in my toes. Like if you set your foot flat and you lift your toes up.
hmm
Well, ideally, if you push them down, there's like resistance. Well, I could not. I had no feeling to put any resistance on that. I could lift them, but I couldn't. If you pushed on them, they go straight down with no effort at all. Anyway, so since then I've kind of chilled on it. Also, Michelle doesn't drive a manual that much, and so she was never real comfortable driving my car. She'd probably driven it less than half a
Yeah,
dozen times. And there are just times that she needs to drive, for whatever
your car.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in both of our cars. So I was kind of, and this car did not come. They don't offer a manual in the turbo. So that I was looking for that. It's got a sunroof. I kind of missed having a sunroof. It's got leather seats. It's got all. I mean, it's loaded. It's really nice. Um, and so I was just like, and
You
I
were
drove
ready.
it. Well, and I drove it, and I told Michelle, I go, if this isn't a step down in performance, this is nice. And we drove it, and I was like, this car is, it might ultimately not be as performance oriented as my car, but my car rode was so rough and so loud, like going
hmm
down there, we couldn't hardly talk, on the highway. It wasn't like the exhaust was loud. There's a lot of road noise in it, and that Mazda is real quiet, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I tell you,
Um,
you get in one of these really nicely built cars like a Beamer, and it's like, wait a second, this is nothing like driving compared to what
yeah,
I've been used
what
to.
am I used to driving? And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem driving, but
Mhm.
you know, anyway, so I got the car, but we had to drive home. So they said, well, I said, which car should I take? And they go, we should take your car. And I go, that makes sense because we hadn't done all the paperwork yet. So we came home and they called, and Michelle had someone tried to steal her credit card number a while
Uh-oh.
back, like 2 years ago. And so
hmm
she put a freeze on her credit. So they called and they said, there's a freeze on your credit. Can you unfreeze your credit? She goes, well, which one do I need to do? And they told her. So then on the way back, we told them, we said, well, by at this point it's like 1 o'clock. I mean, and
hmm
so she said, well, when are you going to be back? I may go get lunch. And I said, well, we're going to be an hour. And so, she said, well, she said, well, I'm going to go get lunch. I said, okay. Well, Michelle, so we sat down to eat and they were like, you got to unfreeze the other one. So Michelle was like, I just got my food. And then we couldn't get it unfrozen. So then we go down there and they're like, well, we're having trouble. Then it was like, well, the car is getting this done to it. Oh, and we're going to have it. I said, well, can you get all the, and anyway, so we had been down there. We didn't leave until like 6. I told Michelle, I said, we'll be lucky if we're home before, and then traffic was terrible coming back
Oh
from
boy,
Norman.
I experienced some of that on the 35. Yeah, I tell you what, I was stopped on the 35 taking those cats in, and I thought to
Oh,
myself,
yeah,
you
to
know
my
what?
work.
Yeah, right over there by you, and was it Midwest City or Dell City? It's Midwest City,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's Dell City, but the animal shelter is actually in Oklahoma City.
Oh, that's true. That's true because they don't. You have to ID yourself as being qualified. It's like, are you in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, it's the
Yep.
very eastern edge of Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Bryant Avenue is the dividing line, I think. So my work is in Dell City, but the car lot,
You're
the
literally
animal
blocks away
shelter.
from what we're talking about. Yeah, you're about
Yes.
exactly a block away.
Anyway,
So anyway, yeah, I stopped and had to edge along, and I was too stupid to get off and go down
oh yeah.
44th or whatever, and I stuck with the highway, and I thought to myself, well, if I ever get nostalgic for California, I'll just come out here to the 35 about this time,
There you
and
go.
heck,
Oh,
this is just like the 405, an inch at a time
supposedly.
at
But
two
as I
two
told
miles an
Michelle
hour.
tonight, at 6 o'clock, we're driving back, and I said, this had been murder in the Subaru.
Hmm.
Shifting, and I mean the Mazda was actually fairly comfortable,
Oh
except
yeah.
we were trying to
Well, I
mess with it on
remember
this.
when you were all super enthused about being back on the standard, and you were talking about it, and it's like, no, no, man, I'll never go back to a standard shift again. An automatic is just so much easier to live with, you know.
Well, and I lived in mortal fear that I would do something and then have to drive with, and be like, I don't,
Oh yeah,
you know,
especially with your newest, yeah, your toe.
yeah, that toe thing. So
Yeah,
what I'm hoping is eventually that helps me get
yeah,
over it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You never
You
know.
know,
That may be the repetitive injury that's going on with you.
Yeah, I
You
think
know.
it'll just be one of those deals where I'll stop using it so much and I
Hmm.
won't notice it.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know, but anyway. So yeah, I got a new
The
car.
body is sensitive to anything you you know repeat.
Yeah.
And which is can be a good thing. I mean, it takes very little exercise actually to have a good effect.
Yes. So speaking of exercise, I've been doing 30 minutes on the elliptical every day. Now this week I've been doing it in the mornings, which has been great. I get up at normal time, and then instead of getting in the shower, I hop on the elliptical, which I did not do this morning because we went to the car lot. But I've done it, so I'm off to do the 30 minutes on the elliptical tonight.
All right. Yeah, I'll
Trying
get a
to,
workout in before the night's over. It'll take me
yeah.
about 15 minutes,
I'm
and
I
it'll
did
be
30 minutes
you do 30. Yeah.
on the elliptical, more or less. Some
I
nights
just
it's
do a
like,
variety of little,
uh,
you could call them calisthenics, I guess.
oh, gotcha.
The hardest thing I do is a plank. I get, what do you call that when you just freeze in place? Isometric. It's
Yes, I believe.
yeah, I think that's what it's called. But those are the hard, and the hardest one I do is for 3 minutes. I have my back up against the wall of my back up against the door, my front door, and just
Yeah.
hold myself as rigidly upright as I can, as informed by this one YouTube guy called Upright Health. This is to get rid of the hump in your neck,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it has worked quite a bit. And it's like I've been doing it a long time, but that actually amounts to one of the harder exercises I do. Just after a whole day of maybe
Plank
slouching,
or whatever.
decide, yeah, decide I'm going to straighten up for a solid 3 minutes. That's hard work.
Well, I tell you what I've noticed since I've dropped weight. Um, I touch my toe. I stretch. I get in the shower and I get in the hot shower and I stretch and touch my toes a few times, and just kind of get the kinks out first thing in the
Oh yeah,
morning. And that really is. But we stretch. At my work, we stretch twice a day. The company has determined that we save money in repetitive stress injuries if the employees get up and stretch a couple times a day.
yeah.
And so we do that.
Like I say, I saw you. I didn't make a big noise about it. I saw you actually walking. It's kind of weird to all of a sudden discover somebody that you know
well,
over
what's
there,
funny is
bigger than Dallas, as they say, right over there on my
what's funny
left,
about
saying,
that
"Hey,
is
that's
how
Scott."
many how many people in Oklahoma City do you know? I mean,
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know,
Yeah, that's. But you had already told me that you were right by the place I was
yeah. So
scoping
so it
out.
wasn't a big surprise.
Yeah,
Well, you'll one of these days you'll have to come by my work, and
Yeah,
I'll
get a
show you
tour. I was
around.
surprised of your. I don't know what I was thinking I'd see you out there. It's got to be a certain size to do its job, but you've got quite a campus out there. I guess it's not as
We have
big as
nine. We
Hobby
have
Lobby.
nine. No, it's not that big, but we've got
Uh,
9 buildings.
yeah, jeez.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of.
Yeah, I was thinking you had about four that I could see on the old campus, but yeah, quite extensive.
Well, there's a big warehouse in the back, and
Hmm.
I mean, there's a couple that yeah. So speaking of that, um, I am not working tomorrow. I am going to go downtown if you have any interest in meeting me.
Hmm.
Um, if you don't, um, if you were
We could take a
interested,
little. If I showed up, we could take a ride, couldn't we? I don't know. I
we
guess
could take.
not.
Yeah, no, we could take a ride
Yeah.
in the car. Absolutely, man. We
Mhm.
could do. Yeah, if you could, I'll take you for a ride in the car, for sure. What I was going to say is next Wednesday, a week from yesterday, is Thanksgiving. I get off at 12:30. If you wanted to, if you wanted to take a tour of my work, that'd be a great day because nobody's going to be there.
Okay. Well, you
uh,
know what? I'm going to show up tomorrow because there's just no way to get a an actual person on the phone with that thing that animal shelter thing. And they told me they gave me a thing that it's quite likely she's had her surgery, and they give them 1 day of time that they say that is all it takes. And so I'm going to show up there tomorrow and see if they've
well, I
got
won't.
my cat ready for
Well,
me.
I won't be at my work, but if you
I
want,
know that's all right.
do you want to meet me downtown tomorrow or not? Or you got
Oh
plans?
well, I do have that priority of getting the cat tomorrow or not. I told you my story, my hardship story was that I tried Monday to get a cat turned in, and
Yeah.
I just happened to collide with special hours of newly closed on Sunday, Monday. So
Oh
I
yeah.
so they were closed, and then I came back the next day. And, after I'd bundled all those cats, that was enough of a chore to catch all the cats. The next
Yeah.
day, I missed a kitten. I said, "Well, I'll never catch that kitten," so I had to go with three kittens instead of all four,
Yeah.
and and so I took that trip. And then when I got back, after I got all relaxed and everything like that, I managed to catch that other kitten. I said, I'm going to suit back up. I'm going to suit back up and go take this kitten in. And I did that. So I was there three times and very, you know, for this
Yeah.
for the task I wanted to complete.
Yeah.
It was annoying,
Well,
but it's one of those things where it's like, Ellis, you'd be annoyed by anything at this point that it amounts to work getting out of the house. I'm so used to just doing one thing. I like my robotic little path I've got worn out between here and the park and the grocery store, and that's all I want
I
to do in
cannot
life now.
hardly pry you off of which I mean, I've
Yeah.
been like that
I
this week. I haven't left the house that much this week,
yeah.
So I mean, I get it. I mean, I've got this that I draw on,
Hmm.
and I've been working on my pages downstairs in the recliner.
Oh,
Just
that's the way to do it. Get that old spine relaxed and
I
do
don't know
some
if that's the
drawing.
way to do it, but
Yeah, it's
that's
probably
what I
probably
did.
not the
Well,
best ergonomic way, but
and
who cares?
when the dog was here, I felt I wanted to spend time with the dog,
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I had to do that. Speaking of which, I probably need to go here in a second.
Okay.
So, did Dan say anything? Have you read any
Well,
messages from
Dan
Dan?
had a whole series of things. One thing he asked me after I decided to go do an impromptu lecture on gesture,
Sure, I saw that.
And
Or some
and
part of it.
I did it, and so it prompted him to ask, in live drawing, did you ever do the warm up exercise where the model did a 30-second to minute pose and you had to get the pose down as quick as possible? Yes, quick
Yeah,
sketch.
that's
And
the only thing I liked about life drawing.
yeah,
It was my favorite
it was
part.
groovy. Hmm. Yeah, to
I mean,
get the dimensions down as quick as you could. Hey, Scott, he said a long time ago.
hey, Dan.
I have
So
been here since 7:45. He's complaining. Okay. AM.
didn't get a.m. Anyway, so my vacation.
Hmm.
Yeah, and of course now I'm
Yeah, so
like,
yeah, your
do I have a
plans. I
tire
mean,
going out
you
there?
guys probably were, that hurts to have something like Florida in your sights and not be able to
Florida
follow
and then New
through.
Orleans on the way back.
Yeah,
But let me say this though. I'm glad. I mean, the dog could have got sick while we were gone.
sure.
If we and they still got stuff to check on the dog. Even under the scope, she's still kind of they did a biopsy on some stuff and they think it may be a deal where she needs a special diet. So basically, I don't know, whatever it is in your upper intestine, right after your stomach, duodenum, I think it was, or however you say
Hmm.
that. They think that was irritated. It's a condition that Yorkies have, or actually that Morkies have, which is what she is Maltese Yorkie. But they say that if they do that, that can be prevented with either diet and medication. It should be something pretty. It's not. She's not. Right now, they're not thinking that she'll need a surgery or something, which is good because we've spent a
Yeah,
fortune on the dog.
yeah.
This
You've already.
this has been an expensive week.
Yeah, little pets can be. They can.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean I. You know you. I mean the dog. I mean I think a dog is like great company. I'm glad we have a dog, but man, it's tough because my wife gets real upset when the dog is sick, and I don't
Well,
like it when she's
sure.
upset. That's a little stressful on everything. And
My biggest stress right now from among all my feral animals, they all really were, they get along pretty good as a little community, considering that they're cats. But
yeah,
there's been a new animal that introduced himself, another Tom. But I swear to God, this thing looks like it escaped from a zoo or something. It's a mute. It's a mutant. It's got a long spine that just doesn't seem like the usual cat. I mean,
doesn't
it's
seem possible.
cats get it too. I've got this one that is the usual
That
alpha
look.
guy, and he
Like
said,
what the?
"Yeah,
What's
they
wrong with
just
that beast?
they just automatically back off from him." And says, "Well, he's got the weight on us. We're not stupid. We're not going to
Oh
jump
yeah,
on him.
they look at it and go, okay,
Yeah, you're the
sucks to be
guy.
us, but
You're
here
the
you go.
man."
Yeah, you're. Well, I'll tell you what, and I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but at one point, we were trying to give our dog all this medication, and she was giving us so much fit. She didn't want to take it, didn't want to take it. So one time, I just yelled at her like, "Look, either you're going to
Yeah,
take the
oh yeah, you got.
medication, or," and I'll tell you what, she shaped up, and she has been. I mean, they talk about the alpha dog and all that. That dog,
Sure.
I mean,
You
she is,
realize, oh, I don't want to make you unhappy.
yeah,
Yeah.
ooh, which she's gotten in trouble before, so I don't know what this, I don't know what it is, but I guess she decided that I was serious,
Yeah.
and she is,
Please be
well,
happy again. Yeah.
she's growled at Michelle. She's kind of a growler. She growls a lot. She's growled at Michelle, but she is not. And I've told her knock it off, and she'll stop immediately,
Hmm.
which is pretty amazing, all things considered.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Sure. No, that is true. With probably kind of important for negotiating with animals.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
I think that
hey,
I
you
think you
are
have to
the
kind of get.
beast here. I am
Yeah,
the
I
one that's
am the.
supposedly smart. Yeah.
Well, she was taking this pill that was $13 a pill, and she was spitting it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, not that, I'm not complaining about the price of the medication. I'm complaining about I'm
Yeah.
not
You wanted
buying
in her.
$13 pills for you to spit them out,
Yeah.
or half digestion was spitting out, and then we don't even know, did you get it? Did you not get? It's
Hmm.
again, not that I expect the dog to understand the value of money any more than I do, but
Yeah.
it was a little frustrating. But anyway,
Well,
I
you
got a
were acting like
car.
you got a
So
car and you
okay, so I need to go. I really do need to go because.
okay, well we'll let you
But
go.
but so tomorrow, are you gonna? Do you have any interest in meeting me downtown?
What with it being first involving the cat and maybe getting a totally shut down on that, and plus having to wait till they open up, that sort of thing. Probably not.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's not that big a deal.
Yeah,
If you
no,
change
I
your
know.
mind, you can always email me. I'll get it an hour later
Is it
if
going to
we're
rain
like.
tomorrow? Have you checked on that?
I don't think so. I think it's supposed to be nice. I
Oh,
mean,
is it going to
not.
be
It's going to
nice?
be colder. It's going to be colder than today, but I think it's going to be dry. Yeah, it hadn't
Hmm.
been nice at all except for like Monday.
Oh
But
no, today I consider today was peak.
oh really? I was in
Oh
a
yeah,
car
the
dealership all
walking. Oh,
day.
you were at the dealership. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a very nice day at the park. That semi fog that was present was that was really nice to walk in.
Hmm. If you
Okay,
want to meet, if you change your mind, Ellis, and I know you probably won't, but if you do, I'm probably going to be there at around 9:30 in the morning.
oh, that
Um,
early? Wow. Okay.
well, I don't work. I don't work
Oh, that's
tomorrow,
right. You aren't
so
at work today
yeah.
or
So I
tomorrow.
won't.
Yeah.
No, I mean I could go in, but there's no reason. I mean, if I don't get below 400 hours of PTO by the end of the year, then I'll lose it. So
Hmm.
you know, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
take this. Yeah, I mean I got to take. So I have to take another. So by the end of the year, I have to take 45 hours, but that puts me at 400. Now
Hmm.
this week I'll probably do 36 this week because I've worked a little bit, but I don't if I only get to 400, I get like 180 hours, and that means like next year. Well, next year, based on some different things, I may end up having to take 200 hours of vacation. It's like I can't take that in a
Yeah. You
year.
can't. Yeah.
That's more than I take. So I would have to take a lot of onesie twosie days here and there, which I usually do on Fridays. Well, Fridays is only a half day, so I don't miss that much.
Hmm.
It's with that half day. Like if I take off on a Monday, I might only use half a day anyway because I'll make it up on Friday. Anyway, it's a good problem to have, but I'm just like,
Complicated. Yeah.
well, I got to plan ahead. So I don't. I mean, because I know a lot of people that have lost a lot of time because they didn't plan ahead.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, last year we went on vacation the week between Christmas and New Year's. I can't count on being able to do that.
Hmm.
So anyway, okay,
Okay.
dude, I'm gonna let you
Well,
go. I'll be
okay.
there, about 9:30 if you want to. I mean, you know my number. You can call me if you're
Yeah.
gonna be there. So
Okay.
anyway, okay,
Okay. Ending it.
okay.